I'm a pet whisperer. During a live stream, a man asks me to help check on his dog. My precious keeps sniffing me these days. Can you see what's up with it? I smile and say, your dog's just expressing its love for you. After ending the live stream, I immediately call the police. I want to report a case of body dismemberment. The dog from earlier recently gnawed on a human bone. I, Kira West, was a part-time pet whisperer. To put it simply, I could understand what pets thought by observing their behavior, actions, and voices. Then I would convey those thoughts to their owners. It wasn't a popular profession, but as pets became more important in households, I still managed to earn a handsome sum as a part-time pet whisperer. It helped that my popularity had recently skyrocketed. It had all started a few days ago when I'd stumbled upon someone trying to scam another on my way home from work. A young lady with a border collie had helped an old lady who'd fallen over to her feet, but the old lady had turned on her and claimed the dog had pounced on her, making her fall. The old lady and her family tried to scam the young lady out of a compensation fee. In a moment of soft-heartedness and anger, I stepped forward to help. I told them my profession before explaining that the border collie's barks and behavior indicated its owner wasn't lying. The spectators immediately clamored about me spouting nonsense, and the old lady and her family hurled insults at me. Fortunately, the police officers extracted the surveillance footage from a camera across the road and proved me right. That day, I gained a fan in Sean Forrest, one of the policemen on patrol. At the same time, I went viral because someone had recorded the incident and shared it online. After all, being a pet whisperer was a profession that seemed mysterious and fake. I made full use of the online community's interest in my job. I started live streaming and using the attention to spread awareness about my job. It helped bring in more business, and I started raking it in. Of course, part of the job was duking it out with members of the online community who insulted me and called me a liar. One day, I was helping my fans check their pets for free when a man requested to join me in the live stream. When we connected, I saw a burly-looking man with tattoos of dragons and tigers on his arms. You're a pet whisperer, huh? Well, I think you're a big fat liar. Why don't you take a look at my dog? He dragged a Rottweiler to the camera. I had to say it matched the man's temperament. The dog was huge, and its teeth were sharp. It had a long tongue, and there was drool hanging from its mouth. I could almost feel its hot breath coming at me through the screen. My dog has been clinging to my leg and sniffing it for the past few days. Why's that? The man, who I now thought of as Mr. Tattoo, asked. I scrutinized the dog through the camera. Have you fed it something nice recently? Of course. This dog is like my son. I feed it the best food every day. Things grew weirder the longer I looked at the dog. Suddenly, a thought formed in my mind, and it scared me so much that I broke out in a cold sweat. It's probably sniffing you to convey how much it likes you. You're telling me something I already know, aren't you? And you call yourself a pet whisperer? You're just a liar. He disconnected the call. I continued streaming for a while longer before hastily ending it. I checked Mr. Tattoo's profile and went through his details, trying to see if I could glean any information from there. I was positive the Rottweiler had eaten something special, something that smelled similar to its owner. Something like human bones. The police came. I told them about what had happened during the live stream and my suspicions, but they obviously didn't believe me. No, I couldn't leave the matter just like that. I called Sean. We'd exchanged numbers after dealing with the attempted scam, and I knew he was the only one I stood a chance of convincing. If what you're saying is true, this could be a case of dismemberment, he said. I nodded. Exactly. That Rottweiler has most likely gnawed on human bones recently. I only managed to talk to Mr. Tattoo for a short while, though. Sean turned to make some calls. Then he turned back to me. I just checked, but there haven't been any missing persons reported recently. There's a chance the victim could be someone who lives alone in this city. I'm one of them. People might not yet notice they're missing if it's just happened, I argued. He looked at me with a hint of sympathy. You're right, but we don't have any more clues right now. We can't set up an investigation for this. We might find more clues if I can see that Rottweiler in person, I said. I watched him expectantly, and he eventually nodded with a frown. Fine, I'll try to think of something. Sean asked one of the colleagues he was on good terms with to join us because police officers had to go on patrol in pairs. Unexpectedly, Mr. Tattoo's home was quite close to mine. I hid behind a corner while Sean and his colleague covered me. I watched as they knocked on Mr. Tattoo's door. "Who is it?" He opened the door with his torso bare. When he saw the policeman, he hurriedly put on a shirt. His tone was respectful as he said, "Good day, officers." "Is there anything I can help you with?" Sean saluted him. It made him look pretty handsome. "Good day, sir. Someone has lodged a complaint against you for rearing a ferocious dog." Mr. Tattoo pulled the Rottweiler over, looking resigned. "My dad's raised it in the countryside this whole time. He only brought it over so I could care for it for a few days while he attended to something." Sean's colleague gave Mr. Tattoo a lecture as they stood at the entrance. Meanwhile, Sean brought the Rottweiler close to a blind spot close to where I was hiding. His tall figure concealed me perfectly. I'd only communicated with the Rottweiler for a few moments when I heard Sean's colleague end his lecture. "Breeds like these are banned in the city, so you'll have to send it home within 10 days. If you fail to do so, we'll take the dog away and fine you." Sean put on a nonchalant look as he brought the dog back to Mr. Tattoo. After we left the residential area, Sean asked, "How did it go?" I nodded. "I'm positive that the Rottweiler gnawed on human bones. Did that guy murder someone?" I sighed and shook my head with a slight frown. "I don't think so." "At least the dog didn't make it clear that he was the one who did it." Sean pondered the matter. "Is it possible that he committed the murder elsewhere?" "The dog might not be aware of it, if that's the case." The other police officer couldn't help bursting into laughter. "Are you for real, Sean? Do you actually believe that a dog can tell you these things? Don't you think you're being a little ridiculous? Or are you going to make it a habit to question dogs in the future?" I knew my words sounded far-fetched, but animals could not lie. When Sean saw the determined look on my face, he pulled his colleague away and whispered something to him. Then, he came back to me. "Let's try this again, Kira. I can't do anything else if we still don't manage to find anything, though." I nodded. "Okay, thanks for believing me, Sean." The three of us entered the building and the elevator again. Sean and his colleague checked Mr. Tattoo's upstairs and downstairs neighbors. There were only 2 units on each floor, so it didn't take long. As for Mr. Tattoo's next-door neighbor, Sean knocked on the door. A gentle, demure young woman answered it. "Have you recently heard any odd noises or seen anyone weird?" Sean asked. The young woman frowned and considered the matter for a long time. "I don't think so. Has something happened?" Just then, Mr. Tattoo opened the door. I wasn't in time to hide, so he immediately saw me. "Wait, aren't you that pet master online or something?" He looked at the policeman who stood outside his neighbor's apartment. Then, he turned back to me. "What are you doing here?" I didn't know what to say. Fortunately, the young woman came to my rescue. "She's my friend, Win. She came over to see me." The young woman's name was Laura Granger. She lived alone. "Why do you have men's shirts and shoes then?" Sean was attentive to every detail. "They're my boyfriend's, well, my ex-boyfriend now. We broke up not too long ago. I thought I'd keep some of his things around since I live alone." "It's safer, and I'm sure you can understand that," Laura said. "It looks like your ex-boyfriend is pretty well off." Laura didn't respond to that. On the other hand, I was surprised to learn Sean knew enough about clothing and shoe brands to recognize their value. We didn't find anything useful after a round of questioning. Sean was okay with it, but his colleague was already losing patience. I had no choice but to head home, feeling disappointed. I could only hope that the police would find some new clues. At the same time, I continued with my live streams. "Could you help me check my dog, Kira? Why does it start barking when it gets into the car? Is there something spooky in it? Your car is fine, sweetheart. Your dog is just car sick. Kira, why does my dog keep sleeping lately? Is it sick?" Dogs are always sleepier when the seasons transition. Also, you've recently started seeing someone, right? You've been walking it for too long, so it's tired. "You're amazing, Kira. You know everything?" Some of my viewers sang my praises, while others claimed I'd paid the fans who'd asked for help to put on an act with me. Amid the comments, I saw several questions from a new fan. Their profile picture showed the emoji of praying hands, and their username was period. "Can you really communicate with pets, Kira? Does it work with any animal? Can you see everything they've seen? Can you still tell what they think after they die?" Their questions were getting a little out of hand, so I interrupted them. "I'm a pet whisperer, not a medium. I'm also not a scammer. I can't do such far-fetched things." Suddenly, I received a direct message. Period had sent me a photo of a Rottweiler with bared teeth. However, there was fear in its eyes. I recognized it. It was Mr. Tattoo's dog. The way it looked, it was in danger. I don't have any reason to visit that man anymore, Kira. I could sense the resignation in Sean's voice, even over the phone. Anyway, none of his colleagues were willing to go with him. He couldn't do anything alone. But the Rottweiler is going to be killed. Mr. Tattoo must be cleaning up his tracks? I already told you that there haven't been any missing persons reported, nor have we found any bodies. Look, I'll help you once more. I'll speak to the management office, he said. He soon got back to me. The management office said the Rottweiler has already been sent away. I called a colleague and asked them to dig up information on Mr. Tattoo. I was left with no choice but to wait. I was constantly anxious as I waited for updates while going about my life. One day after work, I came home to see a courier box outside my door. This was odd because all parcels were usually stored in a room near the guardhouse. I picked it up and shook it. It was light. I suppose there couldn't be anything wrong with it. When I opened it, a stack of photos fell to the floor. Each one of them was a close-up of pigs' faces. I felt a little revolted and my hair stood on end. Who the hell had pulled this prank? I picked up the photos to take a closer look. Then I screamed, "What a freak!" Sean soon arrived at my place. I wiped the remnants of my vomit from my mouth and opened the door while supporting myself against the wall. "What's wrong?" "What happened?" he asked. I handed him the photos. "I know where the body is." He took them in confusion and flipped through them. Then, he looked at me and asked, "Where is it?" "In the pigsty. The pigs ate it." I thought about the pork chop I'd had for lunch again. I could only retch bile now. Sean ran into the bathroom after me and patted my back while asking, "What did you say?" "The pigs ate the body? Are you sure?" I nodded weakly. "Yeah, I can see it from the photos. Animals can't lie." He looked at the photos, looking like he was in a tough spot. Then, he looked at me, taking in my pale face. He didn't have concrete evidence and my statement was too far-fetched. He genuinely had no idea what to do. Just then, his phone rang. He answered it. "What did you say? Are you sure he was in jail in the past?" Mr. Tattoo's name was Winston Green. Back in the day, he'd spent 5 years behind bars after getting into a fight and accidentally killing someone. He'd only been released 2 years ago. "We can't arrest him or bring him in for questioning without proper evidence," Sean said. "But the fact that I've received these photos means he's already on to me," I argued. I'd gotten over my initial shock and could now think properly. I suddenly realized that Winston already suspected me. If the police couldn't arrest him soon, I would be the one in danger. Naturally, Sean thought about this too. He considered the matter for a while and he looked determined when he raised his head. "I'll go see what he's up to." He drove his own car to Winston's residential area and waited in the parking lot. I sat in the front passenger seat. He asked, "Why did you have to come along?" "I couldn't let you come alone. Besides, I can help." Sean wanted to say something in retort when Winston appeared. He was alone and he drove out of the residential area. We hurriedly followed. I had to admit this was actually pretty exciting. We followed Winston to a nearby village. Many tourists visited because the scenery was beautiful there and it was close to the city. However, since it wasn't a holiday or a special occasion, there weren't many people around. Winston took many twists and turns, seemingly familiar with the place. He stopped at the foot of a mountain. There were trees all around, so he didn't notice us tailing him. My heart was racing. Wasn't this always the case in TV shows? Murderers would return to the crime scene or the places where they'd gotten rid of the bodies. I wasn't scared in the least. On the contrary, I was raring to go. I couldn't wait to see a criminal get nabbed because of my bravery and intelligence. However, all Winston did was approach a tree and pull something out of his pocket. We couldn't clearly see what it was because we were too far away. The smell. Was that fried chicken? Sean and I exchanged a look. Then we watched as Winston started crying.